When you turn your body into your personality, what happens next? Clara Dao is the boob girl. She's the girl that didn't get a hobby because the only talent she has is talking about her boobs. She created content about her flat chest and became the face of flat-chested body positivity. For 6 years, she made content about her boobs until it wasn't, as she put it, fun anymore.
Yes, I did have a boob job. I know this might come as a shock because my whole page used to be about loving my flat chest and being confident with it. I literally built my entire career and following around that. So why did I do it? Am I crazy? Was everything a lie? Was I secretly insecure this whole time and just use body positivity as a way to make money so I could finally afford a boob job? No, let me tell you the real reason why I did it. And it comes down to one word: fun.
But it seems, even after all the controversy surrounding her getting a boob job, she's still making the same mistake. And that is, making all her content about the fact that she got a boob job. This is a story about Clara Dao, a creator who rose to fame for being unapologetically herself. She brought an audience by embracing her flat chest and preaching body positivity. But a couple of months ago, Clara shocked her followers when she revealed she had undergone a boob job. For some, it was her choice and her right, but for many of her supporters, it felt like betrayal. Her entire message of self-acceptance suddenly collapsed, leaving behind a fractured community. And Clara's story exposes something bigger, the trap that comes when making your body your brand. Clara didn't start out as just another influencer. She filled a unique niche, someone confidently representing women with flat chests. Her content was all about body positivity, empowerment, and rejecting beauty standards. But here's the problem. When your identity as a creator is built on one physical trait, you box yourself in. Your body stops being your body. It becomes your personality, your content, and your brand. In case you didn't know, in the beginning, most influencers don't know what kind of content to create. So they pretty much try any and everything till something sticks and brings in the views, and most importantly, they also enjoy making. And Clara made one of the biggest mistakes that a creator can make. She made her body the focus of her content. You see, unlike your opinion, after a certain age, your body doesn't change, but your personality does change. Clara was in her early 20s when she started making her content and is now in her late 20s. As a person, you want to explore, and that means changing the way you dress, the way you do your hair, and sometimes surgically alter your body. But she created a safe space for people, told them they should be happy with the way they are, and then burnt it all down because it wasn't fun anymore. She had so many opportunities to change the kind of content she was creating, but she didn't, because that was what was bringing in the money. Her followers were just numbers on her page, and most importantly, donors to her lifestyle. It's giving Doja Cat, if you know what I mean.
Are people unaware that a majority of movements are just cope? And don't get me wrong, I don't actually mean the majority of movements themselves are cope, or that what movements initially are founded for is cope. I'm more so referring to the people who end up co-opting and or representing said movements. They're coping. A large percentage of body positivity influencers are part of the body positivity movement because they don't like their bodies. They don't like the circumstances they are in. And therefore, they have to find a way to convince themselves that their bodies and the circumstances they are in are actually likable and good because there's nothing else they can do about it. That is why, after they've made money from promoting that body positivity, they change their bodies. They never liked them in the first place. They were championing the movement to cope. Now, to be clear, I have no issues with Clara, whom I'm stitching, nor do I have any commentary on the choices she makes for her own body, and unlike many, I am completely fine with plastic surgery. I'm simply stitching her and referencing her for this video because she is the 20,000th person I've seen this month surrounded by discourse because she's gotten some form of plastic surgery or has done something surgically to alter her body. Very interesting how this discourse never considers the influencers in question, who are constantly under scrutiny for how they look, as victims of the patriarchy or harsh beauty standard. Only sees them as villains, but I'll digress that point. A majority of the discourse I've seen around these actions different influencers have taken is, you were supposed to be my representation of the body positivity movement. What happened? They were coping, much like you were using them to cope. And again, I'm aware, and you should be aware, this is not everybody. Many people do champion different movements because they believe in what they were founded for and correctly propagate what they stand for. And there's nothing necessarily wrong with looking towards someone else to feel less alone. I just say all of this to say that it is incredibly important to remember to decide to love your body in any state or stage that it's in, of your own volition. It will always feel good and comforting and make that process easier to see someone you think is admirable who looks like you. But if you hinge your self-love and self-love journey to strangers on the internet, you are setting yourself up for failure. You don't know strangers on the internet. And as much as you guys would like to believe you cannot sense authenticity through a screen. Not only should other people never be the barometer of how you feel about yourself, but the majority of people you're watching on social media are struggling in the same capacities you are, and are absolutely going to change when they finally have the means to do so.
When your content equals your body, there's very little room to grow. Clara could have expanded her brand into lifestyle, wellness, or even broader conversations about body image. But instead, everything revolved around one physical trait. This kind of niche is powerful in the short term, but it becomes limiting in the long term. Creators who build their entire platform around their body or looks often find themselves stuck. You can't evolve naturally because your audience doesn't want you to. They subscribe to that one version of you, and when you grow out of it, they walk away. Clara's boob job is just one example of how personal change can feel like betrayal when your brand is so tightly bound to your body.
Clara Dao originally offered herself up as a representative of the itty bitty community. She made herself the flat-chested girl and decided to surround her content around self-love and whatever. She's saying she wants to change things up. She's done with that content. She's been making it forever and it's like draining her. She feels boxed in. But fucking now what? You didn't get a hobby. You didn't get an interest. You didn't start talking about anything else. You got a boob job. Now you're the boob job girl. And I hope that we can use Clara Dao in a broader context and kind of see how ironic it is to preach self-love and have any sort of body mod, cosmetic body modding. The truth is that she is allowed to go get a boob job. It's her body, whatever. In going to cosmetically modify your body, that means that you have to admit that that self-love that you used to preach, you don't believe it anymore. You must admit that you have changed your beliefs and you don't believe in genuine self-love anymore. And while she doesn't owe anything to her followers or community, she has to recognize that there is meaning in what she just did. And there is a broader context than just, I wanted a boob job for fun. So in saying, I love my natural body, but I did also get a boob job, a nose job, I got a BBL, whatever. We have to recognize that there's irony in that. And then in recognizing this relationship, if A equals B and B equals C, then C is plastic surgery does not equal body positivity. So just a bit of food for thought. Guys, I got boobs, so I did believe in self-love until I could afford a boob job. That's the truth. I think that instead of bashing her for the decision she's already made and clearly does not want feedback about, we should use her as a stepping stone to start talking about the role that cosmetic surgery has in the way that women view themselves and just body image in general.
This brings us to another issue. The internet creates parasocial relationships where followers believe they own a piece of you. In Clara's case, her audience didn't just watch her. They invested in her identity as a flat-chested body positivity creator. So when she changed, it wasn't just cosmetic surgery. It was seen as abandoning them. Her followers didn't just feel disappointed, they felt betrayed. And that reveals the dark side of online fame. When you let your body become your brand, your audience will expect you to stay frozen in time. Any attempt to grow, evolve, or change will feel like you're breaking an unspoken contract. And here's where it gets really damaging on a personal level. Living as a brand instead of a person creates immense pressure. You're no longer free to change, experiment, or even make mistakes because every decision has to align with the identity your audience bought into. For Clara, this meant shifting from love yourself as you are to look at my new boobs. A jarring contradiction that her audience quickly called out. Whether she wanted to or not, she had to reframe her content around her body again, just in a different way. And that's exhausting because at some point, you're no longer creating for yourself. You're performing a version of yourself that keeps the audience satisfied. And this brings me to the most important part of this video. Even though we might find comfort in a community online or even in an influencer, we have to remember that we have a duty to ourselves, to love ourselves, accept ourselves, and protect ourselves. Because the truth is, people will disappoint you. And it's not because they're evil, terrible, selfish, but it's because they're also trying to figure out who they are. And that's okay. It doesn't change the fact that you're still valuable, you're still valued, you're still beautiful, and the way that you are is okay. You might also want to change, and that shouldn't stop you. So even as you're scrolling online, or if you're mad at her for getting her boob job, remember that, to be honest, in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't really affect your life in any way. And whether Clara got surgery or not, the truth is, you are still beautiful, you are still deserving of love, and most importantly, from yourself. Clara's story isn't just about one influencer getting surgery. It's about the bigger trap of turning your body into your personality. When your body becomes your brand, growth becomes betrayal. Your audience see you less as a person and more as a product they invest in. And when you try to change, as all humans inevitably do, you risk losing everything you built. So the question is, can Clara move beyond the body that made her famous? Or is she stuck in the branding trap forever?